Welcome to Inside the Cave. I'm your host, David Kessel. This episode features Stephen Kalinich, songwriter extraordinaire and wonderful word wizard and collaborator of music. So sit back and dig Stevie, man. He's a gas. Welcome to Inside the Cave. I'm David Kessel, and this is Stephen Kalinich. Stephen, glad to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I consider you to be a poet laureate, a lyricist, and an all-around intellectual of the word medium. What do you say to that?
I'd say it's a lot to live up to. I don't know about the intellectual part, but I am a feeling person that strives for authenticity in my work and fun and excitement, and I try and inspire and encourage other people to bring out the best in themselves and the best they can be and to have a good time and enjoy life.
So you've done a lot of lyric work, and how do you feel collaborating with musicians? Do you have a particular formula that you use, or do you react to a track, or all the above?
I do. I react to musicians and collaborate with musicians in many different ways. Sometimes I do the lyrics first, which I prefer, and then we shape it and form it. Sometimes I write to someone's music, which I don't prefer. In the case with Dennis Wilson,
Yes, tell us.
I wrote the words first, like Little Bird. I put them on his piano when he was on 14,400 Sunset Boulevard in the old Will Rogers house. We were in the little cottage, and I put the words in the main house on his piano to Little Bird. I looked out the window. I was sitting looking out at the tree, and I saw Little Bird on the branch. It was like a robin with a little kind of rust breast. It was like talking to me, and the line came, the little bird up in a tree looked down and sang a song to me of how it began. And that's how the song started. I wrote the lyric.
So that impacted you, that moment impacted
Yes.
you, the little bird, and
Yeah, and I didn't know that sometimes the simpler things, some people said it's Zen, I don't know, Harvey or somebody coined that phrase, but it just came out very simple that I think it was Einstein, or at least he got it from maybe Lao Tzu, said that either you can look at life as like nothing's a mystery or everything's a mystery. But when you look at the little bird and see all of life in it, all of life and music and sound, there's a whole theory that everything is sound. Everything's held together, all matter, by a vibration of sound.
well, how about the concept, if I'm not incorrect, or if I'm correct, one of the two, that the birds can fly and nobody else can? How about that one?
That's a good concept. You're including insects and other flying creatures also.
Well, see, I wanted to see the distinction there between little bird and little insect.
Yeah, I think somehow the bird symbolized for, you know what, this is, in reality, I'm thinking after the thought. I don't know what it was that did it. I want to be honest. It came at a creative moment. The little bird like hooked me into the power that runs the universe, that's in me, that's in you, that's in everyone, that was before all things, that'll be after all things, and that was the little bird.
Oh, well, that kind of puts that to rest.
Some.
Well, and then I know you've had some collaborations with Brian Wilson, and also you wrote the song that Brian did with Paul McCartney.
A Friend Like You.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Tell us about how that came about.
Well, Brian gave me a melody, and I was at his house. He put it on a little cassette, and in those days I had a cassette player in my car, which I probably should get back. And I started playing it over and over, and by the time I got home, I got that lyric, "A friend like you." In one of the lines, "You have courage, you risk it all, you pick me up, and every time I fall, you inspire me every day of my life. A friend like you." And it came to his word note for note, and I started like getting tears in my eyes, and I thought, this is friendship in general. Maybe my friendship with John, with Brian, and
Were you thinking John Lennon?
I think I was thinking John Lennon because I had some kind of unconscious connection with him, and it felt miraculous. It felt really good in my body, but it was not written for Paul McCartney, not even necessarily written for Brian. It could have been spirit, it could have been God, it could have been life, but we all seek a friend like that. And it may seem corny to some people, but I know in my life that I would love a friend that was always there, that was sure, that was steady. And no human fits that bill.
Well, you're deep. You're deep, man. And this is LA, and you're deep.
I don't know if I'm deep or simple. I think I'm more like simple.
Now, you've done other collaborations with Brian Wilson, right?
Oh yes, a lot of them.
Now, I'm wearing my Brian Wilson Surf Club 1965 t-shirt just for you. I got this when I was a guest of Brian's a couple of years ago in Vancouver, Canada.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he played the Red Rock and got to go backstage. It was like more security than the president in the casino, and they do it for everybody, but you have to go into this elevator, go down, and go to the dungeon, and then Brian came in, we took some photos, and he said some really nice things about my dad, which I appreciated.
Your dad was great.
Thank you. And so I'm wearing my Brian Wilson shirt.
I love that, and it makes me think of California Feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was walking down the beach in San Onofre. It was such a beautiful day. The wind was blowing through my hair. When I went with my friend Brian Moss, not Brian Wilson, to San Onofre, and I went surfing. And Dennis and I think, were the only two I knew surfing then. I don't know, Brian never did it that I know of, but I never did it with him. Dennis and I would go to the beach a lot.
Well, if I were Brian, I'd be happy going to the beach and seeing the chicks in the bikinis and all that, and getting my lyric pad out and go like, what do I get out of this one, you know?
Anyway, I was inspired and wrote that lyric and brought it to Brian, and we went down to, I think, Western, oh my God, we got to look this up, Western Recorder, and Jim was the engineer, and everybody, I'm blanking on the last name. This is a real honest interview, so
okay.
And we'll look it up. And
you are in violation of the LA code by being honest. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I know I'm not into the LA code.
I know it's.
But anyway, but I'm in LA. But anyway, and I put it, and Brian put it on the music stand, and on the spot, spontaneously, I had the lyric on the piano on a pink sheet of paper. I remember it. I still have the original somewhere. And he didn't use every line. He picked the lines that he liked. Sometimes he skipped. And in one take, he did a version that would, like Righteous Brothers, if it ever gets released or something, without the Beach Boys, just him in that take. And it was such a magnificent, it felt, I called it white gospel, and I know I probably said that in, I think, an A&E interview, but I called it white gospel. It gave you chills because you got the feeling, what do people come to California for? For the sunshine, for the joy, for the happiness. And I thought, if anything, what I got with the Beach Boys and with coming here is the California feeling.
And there you go, and that CD was released a couple of years ago?
Yeah, and he picked that, but it's not the version he did originally. The version he did, the closest I can say is like the Righteous Brothers or California Feeling. Look at the orange groves, you know that part. Taste the grapefruit. I never tasted a grapefruit from a grapefruit tree before I came to California. I never knew you could pick an orange off a tree. It was like a miracle. There's oranges grow off tree. I mean, like it's kind of, that I was simple, but...
I don't want to get too heavy, but where did you think they came from?
I didn't think about it. I just, in New York, you got the oranges.
You got down to the produce.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, but you know, like when you see it. Anyway, that sounds stupid, but...
Well, no, that's cool. Now tell us about some of your current projects. I know you did, you've got some project you did with Brian May.
Yes, on my new project called Yo Mama with John Tiven from Nashville, a great guy. First of all, I did that album California Feeling with a G instead of without the G like I did with Brian. Same song, but the concept on Miss Music Records. And it was like 26 songs or 24 or whatever. And one of the songs was with John Tiven, Everything's Exploding. And I liked it with him. P.F. Sloan introduced me to him, which if you want to talk about later. And we went to India together to see Sai Baba. I'm not a devotee, but I do believe in the teaching very strongly of love, and I did see Sai Baba. I had a great experience. And then we started writing, and we started writing songs, and before you knew it, we had a couple of hundred songs. Now we've written in something like 7 or 8 months, 600 songs or so. And we got 30 so of them together, and we got a double CD. At first we were going to do a CD, Stephen Kalinich. and it was called Shortcuts to Infinity. And
Shortcuts to Infinity, okay. Well, you know what that is? That's a wormhole in outer space.
I believe it.
No, really. That's how the aliens are able to go from A to B.
I can imagine they were channeling or whatever.
You know, without the wormhole, if you went to where you can go with a wormhole and you come back, all right, you will have aged hardly at all, whereas everybody else is gone for 300 years.
Yeah, it's irrespective of time. And also, one of the reasons for that is the more you approach the speed of light, time slows down.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they convert into something that is a higher frequency than the normal electrons move in.
I'll tell you what slows down time is being behind every red light in town. That'll slow down time.
Oh,
so
yes.
You have another project, the Galaxies?
Oh yeah, I did the Galactic Symphony.
That's it. Yeah,
and
Galactic
with
Symphony.
Richard Durn in England. We picked a series of 6 poems, and we made an art. And we had like The Magic Hand, The Tale of Man, and what we staged a performance of 38 minutes in which I recite and sing poems, bring in all the poets, bring in the parts of yourself that you don't own up to, and we performed it all over England in the festivals. And then we did a CD with one side is a DVD, and the other side is the CD, which is available in this country too. And we performed it, and we came in second in the Brighton Fringe Festival as best male performer that I came in, and Richard was the instrumentation.
Do you have a website at all where anybody can go to get more information on you?
Yeah, I have a website, www.stephenjohnkalinicch.com, and Lucy Hall administers for me.
Cool. Now, you were talking about P.F. Sloan for a moment?
Yeah, and Brian May did a song on the Your Mama
that's the one that I was talking
called
about.
Out of the Darkness, which I love it. It's the greatest guitar instrumental solo. I just love Brian May, and John Tiven is my contact there, but Brian May's been sweet. And we also did a song with Steve Cropper, which I love Steve Cropper, and that's called Time Bomb, and we're doing another one with him called it's fantastic, and I love Steve Cropper. I don't know him that well, but I love him.
Well, man, he's a classic case
what a great guy.
Groove.
And Cody Dickinson, and we had so many great musicians on this album. I'm so excited. We're getting a lot of airplay. Hits Magazine gave us a great review, and we're getting fantastic reviews, and I just love it.
Excellent.
P.F. Sloan.
Yeah, let's conclude with P.F. Sloan here a little bit.
P.F. Sloan, I love P.F. Sloan. I think he's one of the sweetest, kindest friends I've ever had. I think he's very underrated in this industry. I'd put him up there with any of them. McCartney, any of them. His songs influenced me so much when I was growing up, especially like Eve of Destruction.
Now, what do you think that tune did, Eve of Destruction? Because it's referenced and referred to quite often in esoteric circles. What do you think that
I think it broke the boundaries. Well, you're old enough to kill. You're old enough to, you can quote me the line, you're old enough to
die, but you can't buy beer?
No, you're old enough to kill, but you're not old enough to vote.
Yeah, right.
That's not the exact line. And the thing is, here's a guy, 19 years old, instead of writing songs like pop songs, which he also did great ones, like with the Baggies, he's writing about world consciousness at a young age. He got a lot of resentment from the community. Even people in the folk world, they thought he was commercializing.
He couldn't win for losing on that one.
He was a spiritual guy. Of all of them, if I needed a problem and wanted to go to someone, I would go to P.F. Sloan. I wouldn't go to the Beach Boys. I mean, I like them, but I'm just saying that I love P.F. Sloan, and he's a kind-hearted person, but he'll call you. If he thinks you're bullshitting him or something, he can get a serious side, but he'll call you on it, which in my case, I needed to be called.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm signing it to David and Jan.
Cool.
Sorry, my age.
All right. You know, appreciate that very much. Do you know that it was a real thrill, actually, the coincidence of seeing you at Al Jardine's Bash in Big Sur. that was a gas when Al debuted his album, the new album.
At the Henry Miller Library.
Yeah.
Was that a
great.
fantastic gig?
Yeah, and it's just a great coincidence that we were there and you were there, and I like that you opened the show. And tell me about how that happened. Didn't Al Jardine's kids get you involved in that somehow? Or
Al Jardine, I opened the show, I did a 25-minute poetry set, and I picked a violin and cello player that hardly knew me. I just met him that day.
That's a mind blow.
And I pulled him out of the audience, and I talked to him the day. I said, if I pull you guys up, and Al said, do some Big Sur, do whatever you want. So he gave me a lot of time. That was one of the most fun gigs, and their people were all over the place. And so Matt said, Dad, you can't just throw Stevie up there. You got to introduce him, say that he wrote with you, and do things like that. So I would also, I love Al and Marianne. They're very helpful, but I would say Matt Jardine and Adam too. But Matt knew how to do it, and if I just go up there, I could have thrown bottles or tomatoes at me.
All right, so
but my Al giving me legitimacy at some level, and it was really a fantastic. And it was so inspiring. What did you think? Was it an
magical evening? It was a complete mind blow. Magical evening. Your opening was just perfect. It's so Big Sur. And the fact that you were improvising with, what was that, violin and cello?
Yeah.
Right.
And I did improv because I didn't remember all the lines, except the only one that I kind of had to stick to was the poem I wrote for Alec Baldwin, but he couldn't do it, that I did that night in the other part of the set. Do you remember when I came up?
Yep, I do. As a matter of fact, I bet you I have some footage of that.
I'd love you to send it to me, or use it, or send it to me. That would be fantastic. If you want to ask me any questions about that, it was so great working with Al. And then the next night we went to the
Hearst Castle.
The Hearst Castle, and they had me do a poem there. It was a little stiffer crowd, but it was lovely. But that was fun, and Dewey Bunnell was there, who I love. Dewey Bunnell from America and his wife Penny, I just love them. They're the sweetest people.
So did you dig any kind of a vibe or get a vibe from Hearst Castle, other than the obvious? I mean, did you see any ghosts or feel any energy?
I felt an energy and a ruthlessness and a tranquility and a beauty and a combination of forces. Like everything was trying to be in order with the marble and the beautiful art, but the wildness of the surrounding energy was in a combination beyond the human, yet accessible through the human, through stillness and quiet.
Wow. Any final words of wisdom?
I would say that, not wisdom necessarily, but I would say that all the creative work I do, I'm not saying this for everyone, they can think what they want, is a gift from grace. All music, all art, all sound, all poetry is a gift through us, and the more we open up our consciousness and get our limitations out of the way and let whatever pervades the universe, whether you believe in a God or an all-pervading force, to me, this is what I hope to project at some level in my work, plus joy and entertainment and fun.
Awesome. It's been great to have you on the show here, and this is Stephen Kalinich. I'm David Kessel, and this is Inside the Cave.
God bless you.
Hey,
Thank
God bless
you. It was a great show, and I'd love to do more.
All right, well, we'll do more. This has been another episode of Inside the Cave. I'm your host, David Kessel. To learn more about Stephen Kalinich, go to StephenJohnKalinich.com.